Honestly, I think that I might just make this like a recording. Let's check out Flow really quick. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. The MU's got some work to do here, boy. I mean, bro, this thing is not bad though. I mean, you just pull some fibs off this sucker. I mean, dude, that's nasty. I'd prefer confirm back above 108, but it is what it is. We'll just keep it as is. We'll go blue again. Yeah, that's kind of the sweet spot. I don't want it to retrace this entire gap. That'd be pretty bad. But we do have like a little cup forming here. Dun, 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 dun. What else we got? Shop. I mean, shop looks so good. Weekly should look great. I haven't really looked at this chart. I mean, bro, last week was crazy. What the hell? I mean, this has to continue over that high. There's no way it doesn't. Like I said, we could just move this down a little bit if we need to. Right there. And all in all, it's this gap. What else looks good? I mean, crowd looks good. Just being leaning off these EMAs here. Weekly perspective is not bad at all. The compression on this is pretty nasty. I mean, I'm being so lenient with this one. I can't overmanage this one. I really can't. Let's see what else. Yeah, just let that chart work. AMD looks really good. Um, oh, Bronny's on. Um, oh, Bronny's on. My man, Bronny James. Oh, what's up? What's up? What's up? Uh, sorry, I just saw these chats. These just come through. My Mac lasted less than a DT. Yeah, 0 DT. Dude, I really like Mac. I'm not trying to be like, I don't know, dude. I used to have a MacBook Pro. I still have a MacBook Pro, but I had a pretty good Mac. It wasn't a Studio. What was the other one? I can't remember what the other one's called. And that one was really good, but then I ended up getting the PC I currently have, and I have a 4090. So like a 4090 GPU, everything looks crystal clear, everything's perfect. I can, it's dude, 4090s are insane. And then I have a really good processor. And when I went to the Apple computer, processing speed was fine and everything was good. And then when I went to go open my charts, it looked like I had like chlorine in my eyeballs. Like the charts had like this glare or like this haze around them. And then my charts were like consistently like they looked like they were flickering because it couldn't handle. I think it was the frames, right? I mean, they basically moved um my hertz. I This is a 244 hertz monitor, and it was capping me at 60 hertz. It was really weird, But all in all, it looked terrible. It wasn't performing that good. So I figured, oh my god, a lot of it has to come down to my GPU. So I returned it instantly. And I just bought wires for it. I set it up this morning at like 4 a.m. and it just wasn't the move. So I got a refund. But yeah, I do like the ecosystem for Apple. But what are my thoughts on Neo? Good call. I mean, I talked about this one. You already missed the move. There's a reason I have my line there. I talked to all the guys in the Discord that like you could technically trade this flag breakout. And if you guys know me, I don't like care about flags. I don't really watch them, but there was 100% like a flag breakout here. But the real move was it getting over this here. Right? These are like a cluster of weekly highs. So weekly high here, and it basically went all the way through where we had weekly candle closes that were trying to get above this but closed underneath. And then you had like your lower high here, and then it sold for almost a lower low. You guys can see it had relative equal lows. We had a pop, our EMA cross back, which once again I don't really care about, but this was the spot to like take small size in my opinion. And then when it got the pop here, I did say that you could technically take the trade above 602 for a move to 7, and it got a nasty move. It got all the way to 7 or 768. And really, it went to this support and then kind of went a little excess beyond this gap up here. Right, there's a gap right in this little range here, but I'm not a fan, dude. I'm not a fan. Let me just say, I don't like trading Neo. There's times and places for it, but just like it kind of, I don't know, bro. This is not my favorite chart. It could end up doing something really clean if it can base that $7 level. Like if it can give you something like this and then start to consolidate, then it'd be more enticing. I would look for it to trade up into this 16 level with some time behind it. But if you take a look broadly, right, like across the entire like just the Chinese sector, if you will, like, dude, they all did really bad today. Like, this is very similar to if you guys saw like when semis were rallying, where we had these insane gap ups. Like it gapped up, had an inside bar, only one like a 1 day pullback, if you will, and really just an inside bar, and then it gapped up again, gapped up again, gapped up again, and it kept doing the same thing. And if you guys remember NVIDIA, SMCI, they all did it. And these consistent gap ups on high volume is usually indicative of not high buying pressure. It's usually indicative of selling that's kind of leading into this, right? So you'll see this retrace really quickly, and volume staying high is pretty scary. So I would try to avoid these names. And today, you saw like the first sign of slippage, where you saw pretty big pullback here into this old gap from, what was that, Friday? So I'm not really interested in the Chinese names, if I'm being real. Like I don't know. I don't really need to chase these. I don't like them. I don't know how else to put it. What's up, Kringle buddy? Love you, man. Appreciate you. Love you, dude. I see you on Twitch. My man. I think there's more people on YouTube here. Yeah, I can look at a couple charts. I'll look at whatever you guys want me to look at. Don't be upset if I'm like mean. Doesn't mean like I'm holo. Oh god, I might take back everything I said. I can already tell this is like under 5 mil a day in volume. Oh wow, never mind. What's going on here? I was pretty close. Bro, what the hell? I had old drawings here. Is this a split? Yeah, they did split. Yeah, I was right. I mean, they were trading barely any volume. Dude, I don't know, man. This is a tough one. There's a lot of buying activity here. So volume patterns are pretty consistent with it continuing. We had this flattening out here, which is good, right? And then you had the spikes in volume that were occurring down here. So this is a signs of accumulation, especially after this low was made here. Then I had the flag, right? Kind of the pullback here, base on low volume, right on this previous. I mean, this is a daily. This almost looks like a monthly chart, bro. It looks like weird. But yeah, then you had the pop. This looks good. I would say it continues. But dude, like this is where I'm trying to like be nice too. Like I would never trade this because of the dollar amount. It's 38 cents, dude. You know, if you're like in any type of position that's somewhat heavy and it gets any kind of pullback, like you're instantly down 5%, 10%. I'd be careful with this one. Usually names like this too that have this kind of volume, these are pump and dumps. This is institutional activity that's trying to, I don't know. There's usually a headline that kind of follows this as well. Do I use extended hours? Yeah, I do. Coin FSLR. Yeah, coin's actually something I'm watching here. I want to see it. There's not the reason I don't like coin that much, guys, is the weekly does look a little sketchy here. I don't trade patterns, as you guys know, but it is kind of like flagging right back up into this previous support here for this long range from back like May, April, June-ish, or in July, really. This was like your break of structure where we broke down and we retested it, and then we went for a new low, and then we baited the gap down here, as you guys can see, with this little highlighted zone. I'm worried this continues back down. I'm on Team Bull, if you guys don't know, but I don't think it's going to be how everyone imagines. I think everyone's just thinking there's going to be a melt up. I think a lot of the popular names that seem easy are going to be actually really hard trades. Like CLSK, for example, a lot of people were all leveraged into this, and then what did it end up doing? It just kind of swept under, and I think that you're going to have an eventual move, but it's not going to be easy. I think Q4, just the beginning of it's going to be really tough to trade, actually, especially for people that are kind of addicted to the... I'm giving hints on Twitter, guys. Like, I think a lot of people are addicted to the dopamine hits that you're going to get from trades like this in crypto. I don't know, dude. And there's not really an actionable level for this to really hold. I mean, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but there's no real structure here. It's just kind of slow build up, and really it kind of hit that previous breakdown spot. I mean, we flagged slightly above it, but you can see on the weekly, right? I mean, this is still just a general area to keep an eye on. And it looks like it could have a trajectory down, sell pretty hard here into the gap, and then from there reaccumulate, right? The market moves in two phases, guys. It really does. I mean, there's technically three, but it's accumulative and it's distributive, right? And it's kind of moving in between those phases. And then once they run out of inventory, they'll reaccumulate or they'll redistribute. It's pretty simple. It's about not getting caught in those phases. Trying to catch it at the extremes of each side, but I don't know. Coin is probably the one I'm watching out of all the names. I don't like Mara. If you guys know me, Mara's just kind of a shithole. I mean, this is not really tradable in my opinion. I mean, you could catch it off the bottom here, but it's still, I don't like this chart at all. It's been consolidating for a really long time. So coin, if there's going to be one, it would be, I mean, it would probably be this one. FSLR I was looking at. FSLR, actually, we took it back here on this flag back here. And this was a pretty simple trade, right? I mean, you guys can see this one. It basically started to pull down on decreased volume into the 618 here, which is kind of like your discounted zone. And then what we ended up getting was a series of gap downs that were essentially what? We can kind of look at these as targets, right? So we made a lower low here, and I'm not going to teach you guys, especially if you're not in the Discord, but this is kind of, it's not perfect, right? But you can kind of see the accumulation with a 3 lower low, right? And the reason that they like to accumulate on the 3 lower low is they can collect inventory once people are stopped out under each new low, and then each new low is bought up, right? And you can kind of see this. You guys can go through and look at it if you want, but this is why we were looking at it, right? And then it ended up popping, and it based the progression gap, flagged down into that on descending volume, got another pop, pulled back. And this is the one where I ended up taking a roll, and I stopped out, and then it had this crazy rip. So I guess long story short, it did go into resistance here. I would actually be looking to long FSLR again, and it's actually something I'm looking at over the next couple, I would say next week or two, is just a rebase of this, right? So long story short, pull back here. I think this can actually push 280. Sorry, I don't know why I said 500. I think this can push 280 and ultimately go to 300, right? But it's you got to view these as structural kind of formations, right? And these pullbacks aren't bearish. It's forming higher lows and turning old resistance into new support, right? And then it's speculative if you're an EMA guy, but letting EMAs catch up, even though these are already pretty clustered. So it's just kind of using these as your trend and your guideline if you're a little bit newer to it. But really, it's simple and straightforward. FSLR is SR flip, right? So yeah, this is on watch for me. I'll look at chat again here really quick. Sorry, I'm talking kind of quick, guys. I haven't been streaming in a while, man. Nice, good job. 260% on calls. Hell yeah, good shit, good shit. What's up, guys? Snow. I like snow. Yeah, be careful with coin. Coin's I don't know, dude. And I don't believe a lot of the people that post that they make a lot of money, like just in general. I don't know, dude. It's weird. Everybody overnight, like people were talking so much shit about like China. Everyone, dude. I literally typed in China. What am I doing? People were talking shit about China, dude, and like somehow people caught these moves. Like nobody was a buyer down here. I mean, I wasn't. I have no shame in admitting that. I'm not going to chase it. But like JD, people magically caught all these moves overnight, and like I don't know, bro. I just don't believe people. So the fact that people are like super crazy on coin here when there's nothing really actionable here besides the speculative BTC, right? I don't even have this charted. I don't think. I kind of do. I mean, the chart looks good on a monthly, but it doesn't matter, right? Like, it hasn't given you anything yet. So I'd be careful with coin. I'd be careful with people leading you into coin. I would be long, like I said, guys. I'm long at extremes and I'm short at extremes as well. And especially if it's in like a good structural formation with the volume kind of leading me to understand what it's in terms of a schematic, I would be waiting. And I know it's going to be hard, right? Especially if it starts to rip. But coin, I'd wait for 140. 140 or like 116, and I'd go long. Until then, I mean, there's nothing wrong with sitting on your hands, guys. Chart should scream at you, man. They should scream at you. Oh, snow. Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to skip over you. Snow looks pretty good. Snow is actually something I am kind of intrigued with. Once again, kind of a difficult level here. Dude, this is a tough one, the long, right? I mean, we're pretty much, I have this marked here, but it's pretty much all based off of that 110 level, right? I mean, if we go to the monthly, I'm sure that will be some kind of, yeah. So we could have some kind of liquidity sweep underneath this. We haven't really gotten a footprint candle. The closest thing to it would be this candle here, but it's at such extreme lows, guys. This one's tough. I mean, if you're going to grab shares, this would probably be the way to do it. But we are seeing potential signs of accumulation. This looks very similar to Roblox's base out, right? Where Roblox kind of had the same build. And they all look the same, guys, when they're doing this. So you got to wait, and that's the hard part. But like, yeah, Snow is definitely on the watch list. And Snow kind of gave me the same feel as Nike, if you guys have seen Nike, where it had this earnings candle, right? And this isn't what it looked like initially. I'll show you guys what I had, but it had this like kind of pretty similar structure, just built out on a daily time frame. And you guys can see, right, this is the earnings candle or your footprint candle. And then what it did is it made a low. We had almost three lower lows here, right, where we kept kind of going underneath each new low with buyers stepping in at each new low, kind of absorbing that right into this gap fill, right, from, I think this is 2020. Yeah, so this is a huge spot for buyers to step in. We saw that, and then we started to pop, right? But then take a look. We had a pretty easy spot here against the open, or I'm sorry, the close from that footprint candle, and take a look, right? This was a nice little midpoint, an equilibrium where we were kind of fighting to get over. We would reject, make a new low, fight over, reject, make a new low, and then it finally opened here and it popped right off of that spot, right? And you guys can see bar by bar, we kept getting, what's the best way to do this, right? These are all bar by bar higher lows, right? So every single day they kept closing higher than the previous day, right? Over and over and over. And this eventually leads to a big pop, but really this was the spot. So to tie it nicely back, Snow kind of has that same look, right? I don't know if that necessarily has an equilibrium, but it's very, very close. And you guys can see it's almost the same exact thing where I have the footprint candle marked with the bottom of that earnings candle or that footprint candle. And what are we doing? You guys tell me. Does it not look eerily similar? You guys have to, I always say this to my Discord, you guys got to have really photographic memories and just try to remember price action, because it doesn't always look exactly the same, but it does rhyme, especially with how liquidity is drawn and how things are set up. So yeah, this is an interesting one for sure. I mean, and then you would just be targeting essentially the gap fill, right? So you'd be looking for 135 to the open here. So 122 would be your immediate target. I'd probably flex that though. This has been so beaten down. I would go to the daily wick, which is 124. So you could probably get something here. So keep that on watch. I do have Snow. I've been looking at Snow for the past couple days. That's a nice one. Now we're gonna slowly transition. Intel. I told the boys, I'm not bullish on Intel until it can give me a pop that's sustained, because I did go long back here and I did catch this move up here, and then it pulled back with the runners that I had, and then it fucking sank and I lost money here, right? It hasn't held any of its bases, but I think I put it on Twitter, this is just one big 1, 2, 3. I think this is a big monthly, weekly lower low accumulation and 3 of them to be exact. And there's been a ton of buying here. There was a ton of buying here, and I think this is the capitulation with the footprint candle being in this general range here, right? So I think this is going to mark all the way up. I think this is going to be probably the stock of 2025. But I've just been patient. I need to see a higher low form, right? I need to see it test one of these resistances and either break and base over that or get a nice pullback that's mitigated and kind of show that sellers aren't really interested in this anymore. And we have seen that. Really big spot here though, like I said, 24.59 rejected. Okay, what did it reject with? Some of the lowest volume that we've seen. A lot of this volume came on a harmonic breakout, came with the accumulation at the lows here. So this can pull back. This is why I have it marked exactly like this. I'm either looking for a pullback to 21.98 or a high tight flag off of the EMAs. Voila. This is a sick chart. I'm going to go long on shares. I'm going to go long on probably June 2025 $30 calls. I think this takes off before end of year for tax harvesting reasons, tax loss harvesting. A lot of people's averages are right here. So this will be a sick chart just to kind of keep on watch. Not financial advice. You guys don't need to follow this. This could definitely fall through still, right? It's done this twice. But yeah, I'm going to trust my gut. You will pop me anytime, dude. Oh my God. Talk dirty to me, Kringle. So Intel is probably going to get moved to a primary focus here in the next day or two. We'll just kind of see where that ends up floating. Oxy, I think we're going to see an XLE rotation for Q4. So this is an interesting chart as well. I mean, we're going into, I mean, you guys can see here too, we had the quarter, or the rebalancing coming up for end of month going into Q4, like I said. Daily look, I mean, it's very interesting with the sweep underneath this low here, right? This looks super, super intriguing. Some of our highest volume that we've seen. I don't really follow Warren Buffett too much, guys, but like, yeah, he sold a lot of his Apple. I mean, and kind of, I think he shifted it into oil. And obviously we're going into the elections. Could play a big role here. So we'll see. I think this can pop all the way to 55. Do need to get a change of character and can't ignore this lower high here off of this 21 EMA. I don't know why I have my EMAs on. Let me turn that off, but pretty simple, right? Just something like this, which we did get the pop here, get some kind of pullback. I think the pullback's going to happen, not off that lower high. I think it's actually going to happen on like our hourly or our 4-hour. Right, we have this little progression gap here, as you guys can see. I have it already marked out. Somewhere in this general range, right? Let's kind of go right there. I think we get some kind of pullback, and then I think we're going to pop. Risk is pretty easy, 49.91. But this isn't my favorite chart. I mean, Intel's for sure making its way up there. Where did I learn my strategy? Time, losses, and wins. It's pretty simple. I mean, dude, you got to think, man. Like, you're going to have a lot of people that act like they reinvented the wheel, and none of it's true. I mean, a lot of this just ties back into price and volume. What do you think something's valued at? Is it overpriced or not, right? And then if it ends up becoming underpriced, that's a good buying opportunity, and that reflects on the charts, right? I mean, I really only use volume and price and structure. Wyckoff's the best thing, I think. That's my personal opinion, but a lot of stuff has been copied off of that Wyckoff. ICT basically stole everything from that. Like, dude, there's so many people that have tried to relabel and rebrand it. Yeah, but AMD here, guys, pretty simple. This is like bread and butter setup for me. If you guys don't know, I trade the same stuff over and over and over and over and over again, right? So pretty much sold under, kind of swept under this 141 level. I was a little surprised here, but we did pop through. We had essentially a lower high with an opportunity to fall underneath this August 5th low and make a lower low. But look what ended up catching. We caught a higher low, which is what I have marked here. So now we expect this higher low. I thought we'd maybe reject here, right? This level is also speculative. You can use either here or here. It aligns differently on the weekly. But we did catch that higher low, so I'm going to remove that. And then we ended up popping, right? We kind of pulled back. This is actually where we took our position in this range here. And then we got a big break through this lower high, and what did we do? What do we expect at this gap here, right? At the start of a gap, you should always expect something, and it's important to watch what. Very, very important. There's always going to be a key play here, especially with a break of structure and a potential pullback. It's always important to watch your volume. to see if the sellers are here. You guys can use level 2 as well, which I always use at these spots to see how big the wall is. And what do we have at that rejection? Pretty low volume, and then the sell-off is low volume as well. And I always look at the spread as we get closer to the support. Spread is tiny here. This was obviously a Monday, right? Like I said, rebalancing in the end of month, but this is a very, very good candle to see. Spread tight, some of our lowest volume. So today in my Discord, I alerted calls. I'm in calls again. I still think this can have plenty of room to go. My blue is usually like my target. I think we're going to move very easily to 175. Now, is every trade perfect? No. I still struggle with this too, right? And like, I think some of the newer people struggle even more because as this breaks down underneath this green line, people will panic because they're on a 1-minute chart and a 5-minute chart or a 15-minute chart. If I have November contracts, I'm not going to really focus on intraday price action and how this looks because, like I said, things aren't perfect. Sometimes sellers are going to push this down a little bit, and it may do something like this, right? And then it gets back above, holds it up, and maybe gets like an hourly close over that and flags, and then it starts to go, right? And you may freak out during this drawdown when in reality that just ends up being a daily wick, right? Something like this, just inverse. We'll inverse the chart, right? Where you have like this wick that kind of comes down, but it closes still above, right? And who knows, right? That's not always selling pressure. There's buyers that are bidding below this to get better fills, and the price just gravitates toward them. They get fills, and it moves up. And it was never really sellers. So it's important to understand the context of your trade, what expiration you're taking, what you're targeting, and trade it accordingly. So, I mean, AMD I'm going to be a little bit lenient with here off of this 162 spot, probably like a weekly candle close, but I like this to 175, and I'm using the 180C. Cool. So that's good. Crowd, probably I think this is my favorite chart. This one I'm being very lenient with. I mean, once again, what does the structure look like? Sorry, I'll look at chat here real quick. CRK, I'll check it out. Yeah, I like energy for sure. I'll look at CRK. Yeah, I'll write it down real quick, actually. I'll pull up. I'll check it out at the end. I could ramble all day if you guys didn't know. I'm getting older, so I'm talking less and less, but I still talk a lot. So I'll mark down CRK. I'll come to it at the end. I want to kind of go over these real quick. Still going to be a financial advisor? No. I am taking my test, though, again. Make a lot of sense talking about charts. Oh, it's sick, man. I appreciate it. Thank you. I try to make, I mean, dude, that's the best thing you can do is make, like, not gatekeep things, because, I mean, people try to gatekeep stuff when in reality it's not really charts that make you successful. I just put a big Twitter post out about this, man. It's like it's a lot of your mentality and not being fearful and not listening to other people. Like I hate to call people out, like, and that's the hard part about Discord, and that's why I don't really believe a lot of people. Like I feel like I'm top tier, and even I get scared and like sketched out of positions. Like TSM, man, I should have made like 160K, maybe 260 if I added into this. But if you guys didn't know, I was pretty much long off this green zone here. And then we ended up selling through to an even better spot, which was this 156, 153 level, where I wasn't going to add anymore, right? Because it kind of broke under my risk that I was willing to add at. But it didn't technically break structure, right? So this pulled down into the zone, and I should have risked 153, 156, because what? It's still a higher low relative to this August 5th low, right? And had I held this position, right? I mean, literally I stopped out on this second engulfing bar. Next day, opens midway through. Next day, crazy hammer. And then look what we do. Literally within, how many days is that? 15? We hit my target. And this trade would have been, like I said, a massive, massive win. But like, people can get into your head, dude. Like even people I know I'm more skilled than, people that I know I have more tenure or time against in the markets, a lot of stuff can affect you. And it's hard to see people talking and see other people's charts. So like the best thing you can do, man, is just kind of stay in your own lane and like just focus on your own stuff. Really encourage it. Isolate yourself for a little bit. But yeah, I mean, this trade still hurts to look at. Luckily, guys, I did get back in. It was like, I think I got in this day, or was this day here? I made 25, but that wasn't just off TSM. I had AMD, MU, which I got lucky on MU. I kind of didn't get lucky. I knew MU was going to pop. I thought it was going to come to 81.5 though. I should have had more size in this range, but now, I mean, this is even cup and handling, which I don't use patterns a lot. Am using fibs here, and this could be a nice buy around this zone here. We'll see. This needs some time to brew. Anyways, crowd. Yeah, crowd's a good chart here. I'm being a little bit more lenient with this one, as I said. Same setup, right? This is, once again, we're trending up, at least attempting to, and where are we trading to? Look, this liquidity up here, which is void of liquidity. Actually, this is the gap that happened from their that major outage that they experienced. People are going to buy that news, guys. It's plain and simple. And it's important to watch the chart to understand that. We did kind of top out here at this first gap. What did we do? We pulled back, held this gap that it had filled, which I've kind of taught people this is a progression gap. Buyers will bid this to keep the progress, hence the word progression gap. So we had a low, right? Higher low. And what do you think we're going to potentially do here? And to make things even better, right? Once again, this was the lower high that rejected the gap filled, so I have my progression gap marked, and there's potential here to catch and break structure of this lower high that rejected us, right? And I'm being lenient with it because we got a weekly close above near the highs. This is only Monday, right? And we have our EMAs here, kind of supporting price. So it's kind of a trade. Ideally, we can get back above this on a weekly and have like some kind of bar that looks like this. That's gonna look terrible. I don't know what I'm doing. I gotta finish this out though, like something like that, right? Oh, it's not gonna align. You guys get the gist, right? Something like that with like a wick below. But daily looks pretty good here. And they're just being lenient, like I said. Give yourself some grace with these. That's why I've been buying dated contracts. Like I expect pullbacks, and I welcome them. And I'm adding like 2 to 3 cons, 5 cons. I'm just kind of peppering in to be able to add in with the structure and let these develop. Stop out would probably be pretty lenient. It probably did, honestly. I'm thinking about like 257, this progression gap here. But EMAs, obviously, we'll read this as is. But 921 look pretty good. And ideally the weekly closes back above 290, 285. And I expect just to have like, okay, I'm in the right trade. I would like this to pop, maybe higher low off the progression gap, and really it confirms right around here, right, with the break of this high, right? And I want to see harmonic volume, meaning big breakout with high volume and then some kind of pullback back onto it, and then it continues up, right? And that's kind of my sign that I'm in the right trade. I probably wouldn't trim this. I think a lot of people would trim that just out of excitement. I'd hold that still to stay true to this, right? And this is how I yield the most returns on pretty low risk. And I guess I'll tell you guys, this is 1,000% play. Right around. From entry right around here to target up here by, I don't know what my strike is. I have 350s. So yeah, but this will be 1,000% trade, and I've already mapped that out. So that's a good one. Shop, not my favorite right now, but really strong chart, and nobody's talking about this one, so this is why I like this. But it stayed really strong here at the highs, guys, of this old lower high here, the gap fill here, so these two spots. Once again, kind of the same system. It's basing. There's no sign of sellers trying to push this down on high volume, as you guys can see here, right? And we've already had, I mean, this is one of the best accumulation charts I've seen. I mean, up there with Roblox, Hood, like this is up there. And I mean, it's held the peg, which is the power earnings gap here. We went long right around, I think here. I should have taken more here, but it's crazy, guys. The Discord is actually long. I think we were long back here, weren't we, boys? If you guys are in here, because we caught this pop. Remember, we took a lot of our position off here because we were targeting this gap. And remember, we actually flipped short because of the upgrade. And then remember, we caught this move all the way down to the bottom of the range, and then it sold all the way down. And I fucking should have bought here, because that was the fill. This is what I thought MU would do, by the way. But yeah, either way, low, peg held, higher low. I think we can get a higher low here. And if we do pull back and hold like 76-ish, right around this zone here, right, this entire spot, it's a good opportunity to size in. But I think this goes straight up to 90. Right, 90's a big target for me. So that's that. Geez, I'm flying through these. MU, Needs some time to brew, like I said. I would like this to, because you got to think, guys. You got to think, what happens after a big earnings gap like this? What happens to premiums? It's so easy. Volume goes crazy. It gaps up. How much? I don't even know. Let me click off this. Gaps up like, dude, why is it not letting me click? And it went to a high of like 18 bucks, almost 20%. Cons go crazy. They're extremely overpriced, and so you have to be patient here and let the contract simply become discounted. So what's the best thing to do? Pull from your low to the high that it made, right? Look how easy that is. Discounted zone's going to be the 0.5 to the 618. So I'll be looking to buy right around there. And I'll likely risk the gap fill, right? So I mean, perfect opportunity right around here. Let it trend back up, higher low, and then really this confirms for me back above 108.78, which would be right around here. I might actually roll and then look for this to go up into this spot up here. Not one shot, but definitely 127.81 to like 130, somewhere up here. So MU is a big watch, just letting these contracts cool. I already let the Discord kind of know about that. And you guys can kind of catch the gist, right? It's just about being patient here. A lot of these are just letting people that missed the quality higher lows because they were afraid, right? Letting them all get fucking burned. Let them get burned at the highs here, and then just let everything pull down. It's going to be slow and painful for them, but if you can master your emotions, which, you know, a lot of us can, I think, then you should be in an opportune spot. That's pretty much for all these charts, right? And it's very simple. It's so simple. People probably want like super long up here looking for the gap. It's gonna probably pull down, right? It might go a little bit lower. That's all right. Intel, right? It ripped, went to this spot here. People probably traded the, I don't know. Some people I think took the longs here, but it's whatever. They got away with it. There's just a lot. QQQ. Let's talk about this one. This one's a little bit more difficult. I want to tell people. Now I'll keep that to us. There's a weird thing at 471. I will say that. So, you know, if we sell actually below 484.84, which is this lower high here, I'm using the open here, but I mean technically the high of it is like 485.54. Actually, let me turn off my emails. I don't care about these. Yeah, 485.54 if you use the open. It's like 484.84. Just round it to 485. If we actually lose this and close below pretty aggressively, I do think that this is a short. I don't know if I'll take it. I mean, it is pretty good distance, so I might do it. But it's a short down into this, right around here, 471, and then I think that's our third higher low. I think we get higher low, higher low. I'm probably going to get a higher low there. And then pop up into 500, 496. Or, I mean, we don't get that, which there's no issue with that. A lot of people have a hard time really grasping the idea of gaining exposure on a long-dated contract. So just having calls, right, super long-dated, they are a little expensive, but if they sell, right, you can just wait for them to come to your spot. Let's say that you buy two at $1,200. It sounds like a lot, but realistically, that's $2,400. You wait for it to sell down, then those contracts become what, $600, $500? I don't know. They're not going to go that deep, but you guys get the gist, right? Then it comes down, it confirms, then you can buy 5. And it really opens up your cost basis. You're not missing the move, but you are exposed just in case you're wrong on the pullback. It rips, you're still going to make money. So that's kind of the case that I have here. I've been holding calls, oh my God, I don't even know how long now. I have December 500 still that I think I took way back here now. Somewhere in this range. And I've just been kind of waiting for the roll. I did start a little bit on Friday, just in this range here. So it was nice to see us sell under, kind of trap that lower high here. And I think we can maybe confirm, that's why I have this drawn, maybe a pullback into this 488 spot and then a markup. But long story short, I mean, I'm just willing to buy dips with time into this 471. And I might shorter dated against my long dated if we can break under 484.84. But that's pretty much everything. Just wanted to cover that. I do have some new stuff I'm going to go over, but I'm going to keep that for everybody in my server. But that's, yeah, I mean, that's just the gist of everything. That's why I just don't want people to think like I'm being like a know-it-all like on Twitter. Like I'm not trying to be. I've just been patient. So a lot of this stuff has just worked out. I think this is a swing trader's market right now. So I want to give you guys good habits, kind of how I see charts, go over certain charts, yada yada yada. It might be. It might be J. Is it Jar Family? Oh no, JA. Oh yeah, it is Jar Family. Yeah, it might be. I'm not gonna tell you everything. I mean, I've been waiting for a pullback for a while now. And some of these charts don't look the greatest. Like, Apple looks alright. I still think Apple could be distribution. I've just kind of stayed away from the short side. Like Google looks pretty good too. Microsoft looks good as well. Some of these names might pop here. So, I mean, that's the reason for the exposure and then potential short side if I need to, if it starts to get grim under 484.84. 484.84, that's a tongue twister. But yeah, I mean, I would openly welcome a third higher low, like no doubt about it. And like I said, the easy trade is everybody just, oh, the elections are coming. Let's just go long. Let's buy. It pulled back 50 cents today. Let me full port. That's our dip. No, that's not how they work. Sorry. It's going to pull back a lot harder than that. It's going to, a lot of people that don't understand that are going to see this break and they're going to start getting heavy short. They're going to start panicking without really realizing this is bullish all the way till down here, till that breaks. So that third higher low, I would love to have size into December. Maybe, dude, I could even roll or take some new fresh cons into like January, February, March, and just kind of add, right? And even if it trickles even below this, guys, like if this starts to sell here, let's say it gives you a quick bounce, but it's just a daily lower high, and then it starts to come down here, gives another one of these. I mean, I would still add this, right? And then you can maybe trend out again. Who knows? But yeah, I mean, I'm still pretty bullish, but I don't think it's going to be as easy of a trade as everyone thinks. Like I said earlier, with this Bitcoin chart, I think people think it's foolproof, and they're just going to be blindly adding because people are just posting this monthly chart, and I don't think it's going to be that easy, especially when you have coin. Monthly looks fantastic, but this daily is just, there's no levels to go long off of, and I get worried for people that are just long in this stuff. It looks tricky. And then I know how it's going to work. It's going to break the EMAs, and a lot of FURUs are going to disappear because they have subjective levels, and EMAs are pretty subjective. I do think that this is going to come down to 140. But I could be wrong about that. But that's why I'm not really looking at coin that heavy. I mean, I am looking at it, but I have other stuff. Okay. What else did we have? So we had CRK. I promised CRK. We got what? We want to look at 5 as well. Like Five Guys? Five Guys Burgers? This looks pretty good. Depends on the volume though. Dude, this is tricky, bro. I really don't like trading stuff that's like under 7 mil per day. It's so liquid. Not only like this should be like barcoding. Yeah, bro, it's a tricky chart. I mean, the daily does look alright. It does look like it will break. And I know what you're saying. You're probably seeing an inverse head and shoulders, but these are tricky. I guarantee if you go to the options chart, it's probably a liquid in terms of open interest. High spread. Because, dude, like, crowd trades pretty good. I mean, right around, like, the same thing, right? Like 2-3 million. And the only reason I took this is because the structure here in terms of higher lows, and these are spready. Very, very spready. So I can't imagine yours. What is it called again? CRK? Yeah, dude. This chart looks good. I just can't imagine it'd be easy to trade. 5? Was that 5 you said? Netflix? It's a good call. I mean, let's go 5 first. I want to go make sure Pat gets it. Oh, okay, it's 5 below. Is that the right one? Yeah, you can definitely do that with QQQ. Like, it's for sure, like, it's still tricky though, bro, because like what happened today, you could have had people that went short under 480, 484, right? And they got trapped hard. And there's a reason I took a break today. Like, we had a rebound, like technically a rebalance going into end of month. Like, look at this. This closed under pretty definitively. Even on the hourly, right? It closed underneath. You had high volume kind of come in. You did have tweezers, but I mean, if you're a bear and that was your trigger, you definitely got trapped under that into a pal. There's a reason I really don't trade Mondays though. But yeah, I mean, if this can close under on the daily with some good volume behind it and then open underneath that, it might take it. But there's a reason, like I said, man. Like I'm pretty much just a buyer. I'm pretty against shorting right now. I'd rather just this sell and me not even short, even if it's a big opportunity. I'd rather take the long. It just makes more sense in terms of how the structure is lined up. So you don't always have to be like a two-way player in trading, guys. It's hard to believe. I know. Everyone seems like they catch both sides every day. You don't have to do that. I try to limit how much time I spend in the casino. So, yeah, 5. Let's take a look at 5 again. I mean, this is a perfect chart. I mean, Pat's gotten really good, guys. If you guys don't know Pat, shout out Pat. Pat's been in the Discord for a long time, and he's starting to try to take it pretty seriously now with his trading. But I mean, these are fundamental things that I look at and how I trade. And I mean, dude, the track record speaks for itself. I mean, they do fail, but when you take these, the risk reward is always worth it. If you win on this, you'll usually get 5 wins, right? And then if you lose 1R, 2R, right? So you'll always be a step ahead if you can catch one of these. And it's pretty easy to manage the risk on it, but like, dude, from the open here, like, look at that. That's your footprint candle. Technically, your progression gap is filled, and it's pulling back into 86.32. Volume, I mean, you could have seen a more bullish close here, but you can definitely keep your eyes on this. And if important, if you start to see it trajecting, create some separation against that, I mean, it's pretty simple. You can literally just go long, risk a little bit below, just depending on what your guys' risk parameters are and your expiration, and you could just target the simple high here. And which makes this even nicer, there's another gap up here. All right, so this chart has some stuff to work with. I like that one, Pat. Is it a liquid though? I mean, it's 2 mil. God, dude, and all these 2 mil ones. But the weekly looks pretty good. Dude, the weekly looks really good. If you pull that down even a little bit more, that's your lower high, right? We had nice little flag here, pop out, lower volume here as well for the pullback. It's a really nice chart. I give that like an A minus. Just depends. Once again, I don't know about the options chain. That's the only reason I'm not giving it higher. But that's a good chart. Just like, and that's how quickly like you can look at stuff and be able to differentiate whether you'd like trade it, and you know what I mean. That's how easy it should be. These things should stick out really quickly. Like, dude, like Starbucks back in when I was in California in May, like this was very simple as well. Like almost the same exact thing. Like, and this is what I'm saying, guys. This is what I'm saying. Like back here, right? Almost the same exact setup. And this is how my brain works. Like I can just like see a chart and I know exactly where to go. And that's how you guys need to get to. So back in May when I was in California, chart did this, right? It pushed up into the top of the footprint candle or the progression. I'm sorry, this is actually a gap here. So it hit the gap. What did I say to watch? Volume, spread, what else? Divergence, right? In terms of the volume. What did it do? It hit. We can obviously use level 2 to see the sellers, but it hit that. It sold. Okay, is it going to make a new low? Is there high selling pressure? What is the volume like? What is the spread like? This decreased in volume, right? What did I say usually happens here if it doesn't sell for a new low? High tight flag against the EMAs. I mean, they've already moved now, so that's kind of bullshit, but I guarantee if let's replay this. And, oh shit. So it didn't actually have that. I thought it would be kind of curling a little bit higher than the EMAs. But still, once again, high tight flag. And what do? We end up having divergence, a pop on harmonic volume through that level, right? So you could have either taken the flag and risked the low, or what you could have done is taken not the breakout, but the what? The pullback here. And I think this is where I took it if I'm not wrong. And then we got, what did we get? Harmonic breakout, divergence, and this isn't necessarily a pullback. I would have liked to take like a structural pullback, but still consolidated above. Tight spread here again after a breakout. Shorts are typically underwater, and then you got that pop. And I'm pretty sure this is where I got out of that trade. Or did I take it again? Pat, do you remember? I don't remember. I do remember taking this trade though. That's why I came to this, and it obviously didn't fill the gap, and I took my eyes off of this chart, and then what did it do? It pulled back into its highly liquid zone, right? More fills happened, and then what did it do? Pop. I mean, dude, that chart was so crazy. Anyways, 5, kind of the same thing, right? And like I trade the same things over and over, guys, and that's why I get so on to people. You got to have a system. I have like 3 things you go to. Okay. Okay, that might work. 2026, you probably have a lot of time. Shares, dude, yeah, shares would be good too. Macro's crazy what happened in previous recession times. Yeah. I try not to use too much of the past. I think we're in a completely different time zone. Not time zone, what am I trying to say? Day and age. I was trying to like a different dimension. I feel like things are way different now. Am I opening my Discord in the future? I don't know. Bro, honestly, I don't know. I'm not one of those guys that's like, my Discord's weird. Like, I don't know, dude. I kind of fall in and out of love with it. I like teaching people, but at the same time, it can also be really detrimental to my trading. Like, a lot of my income comes from my trading. So when I bring new people in, a lot of new people will want me to, A, baby them, two, look at their charts every single day, which takes away from what I want to trade, which I trade the same things, and that could be really boring. And then two, right? People don't really understand context of trades. Like I'll try to swing stuff and take 5, 10 cons and I'll add into it, whereas somebody else will go full port. And it just, yeah, dude, it's like, I don't know. And then people will complain sometimes. Like I remember TSM, people were complaining about QQQ, the 3 lower low here. I remember I caught this I think I caught it on one of these bars here and it ended up popping on a gap up and then it sold. But I got a lot here. And then I remember it sold here, and then I tried to either add it on this day or this day. And then, yeah, I mean, I remember it ended up stopping out one of these days because people were going crazy. They're like, oh, the market's dying. It didn't die. And then I remember I re-added here, and then it went crazy, dude. Yeah, so it's like it can be frustrating to have a Discord. People don't have the same vision. People don't have the same mentality. It's hard to get people to understand. Netflix. It's probably my last one, guys. My mouth's getting dry. I don't know. I mean, it's at all-time highs. What do I like to do against all-time highs? I don't know if people know. I don't like to trade breakouts on all-time highs. Oh, dude, that volume pattern's disgusting, too. This is terrible. This is screaming liquidation. I don't like this chart. I wouldn't long it. This looks like news is coming. Is there a gap below? No, there's not. I mean, you'd probably just target the most recent swing low. Right around there. 660, 640. That's a tough chart. Dude, I would not be comfortable longing that whatsoever. It's not distribution, but that looks like that could liquidate. Like I'm pretty sure. Once again, it's not like a trigger thing for me, you know? Like I like to trade around like gap targets or swing lows that are pretty low in vol, right? Like low in volume. I can't talk right now. Been on here too long, but that's the most, I guess, recent level I'd look for, 660. I would be looking for a footprint candle up here. But then again, man, like shorts have been pretty difficult in the market. I tried to that was one of my more recent losses was Apple. I still have it in like, sorry the colors are off because I was using a white screen, but like I tried to, did I catch it here? I think I caught, because dude, Apple is still distribution. I know it is, but it's just hard as fuck to catch. What did I catch? I think I caught it on one of these days. I don't remember what day. It was either this one or it might have been this one. One of these two. Right when Buffett sold. And I did like 400% overnight. And then I tried to catch it again when it tested one of these as a lower high. And it didn't work. And then I think it was right around here. I think it went into the gap at 220. And then I held it a little bit, or I cut these and then I added more right around here at 225 because I was trying to essentially guess if it was a lower high or not, which I probably shouldn't have done. And then it ended up popping higher than I would have liked into this gap fill up here. And then yeah, I mean, we printed essentially like a, I would say, a shooting star spinning top, and then it sold, consolidated around here, and then we broke down here. I was green on the trade at that point, but didn't make up for the loss back here, right, on this short here. So I kind of just took my eyes off of Apple. Now, what did we do? We pushed right back into that gap. This whole zone is absorbed from sellers. I can see this going all-time highs. But yeah, I mean, I'm trying to avoid shorts right now. I think the short side trade, guys, is probably going to come this week. Like I said, I'm not looking to short it actively unless we get some kind of volume print on QQQ underneath 484.84. But I'm not really looking to short. But if there is going to be something, I can see it being this week. We do not have the necessary flow to be able to push this, and we're starting to run low in terms of, in my opinion, inventory in the supply. Which like I said, I invite like a pullback for another higher low on a lot of these charts. Maybe if we end up pushing up here, I might take a stab at a short at 496. But I'm telling you guys, man, I think we're gonna have a nice move, and then probably like February. I would say February is when we're gonna start looking for shorts. I think early 2025 is gonna be distribution. We're gonna see a lot of charts play out. So like Netflix would definitely stay on watch then. But if you guys are in this one, this is pretty easy, man. I mean, I don't think this is like maybe not the best short. It hasn't really given you a sign yet. You know what I mean? But risk is pretty worth it. Like your stop out, it's literally that bar right there. And if you can catch this, that's like that's a 3R trade in terms of like the underlying. Obviously, it differentiates based on your option, but it's not a bad short in terms of RR. Did I do Apple? Yeah, I already went over Apple. I'm just kind of taking my eyes off of it. I took that loss. I just went over it. Hopefully you heard. I took the initial loss. Once it broke through here, I re-added around here, and I held it all the way through the spinning top. It sold down here, and I remember I didn't even get that much profit. It pushed up into this gap here, and that's when I closed. And ever since then, I'm just kind of over this chart. All the charts that I'm focused on right now are here. Qs, MU, SHOP, Crowd, AMD. I have positions in all these except for Intel. And I do have some Tesla, but it's not really worth covering. It's just kind of speculative. I've had Tesla for a long time, boys. I've had December 300 calls for, oh my god, I think since back here, dude. Yeah, I think I took them on these higher lows. I've had Tesla for a long time. And I wish I could tell you what I know what happens, but this one's a little weird. I'd like to say 300, 291 up here, but I mean, this is one of those things where I could see it coming down as well. So I'm really not trying to get people all hyped up with that. I mean, I'm not doing that with any of these coin. I could have done that with in GME. I had GME. I have shares of this, but I closed this out already in terms of options. I only had 5 contracts. I really don't like options. I still don't think this favors buyers right now. That's all I'm going to say on that one. I'm going to get people riled up. But yeah, that's all I got, guys. Oh, there's a gap at 690. Okay. Yeah, I mean, that's fair. It's probably a hidden gap. I got to look at it on a smaller time frame, but it's too early. Like, it's too early, but the RR is there. Yeah. I mean, dude, I don't know, man. That could be hourly redistribution. I don't know, bro. I don't know. I mean, it does make sense, dude. Like I said, the monthly on this is grotesque. Volume patterns are screaming. Not they are screaming distribution, but it's also screaming lack of inventory or supply. All right, that's my cue. My girlfriend's here, guys. I gotta jump off. Love you guys. It's been an hour.